Hello everybody, it's Amanda. How are you doing? Today is, let me get the year right, 2020. Made a video a few days ago and got the year wrong. So I often do that at the start of the year. But I think I would be forgiven for doing so today by the two beings that I'm going to be channeling from the Heart Squad, which are David Bowie and Elvis Presley, both of which have an aspect of time travelling about them. And this video, I think, is going to be pretty deep. I decided to make a duet with them both. I've channeled both of them individually before. They're all on a playlist called Heart Squad on my YouTube channel. If you haven't seen that, just go and have a look. But I wanted to bring them both through together because we've got the 8th of January coming up. And the 8th of January was the day that they were both born. It's quite interesting. David was born, I've written it down somewhere, where is it? David was born 8th of January 1947 in Brixton. And I'll come back to that because it feels very relevant to what we're going to be talking about today, or what he wants to be talking about today, because he's already been telling me what the subjects are that he wants to be discussing. We're going to be talking about galactic DNA, angelic DNA, as well as our cultural DNA, and how we are all so much more than we think we are. And so it's very interesting that he was born in a very multicultural part of London. And he was born 8th of January 1947. Elvis was born 8th of January 1935 in Mississippi. And I seem to remember from the other channelings that I've done with Elvis that he was born into a place where there were a lot of, I think it was a black community. I think I'm right in saying that. Certainly was around a lot of different cultures as he was growing up. Strong influence with gospel choirs, for example. I remember Elvis in my previous channelings talking about the fact that one of his missions still is to help kids in the ghettos, and how he, I remember it so vividly, how he goes and sits in the churches and the chapels where these kids are performing and where they are doing their rehearsals and learning, and he gets a lot of pleasure from that. And he supports the teachers too. It's all coming back to me now, I remember it. So both of them have something to say with regard to culture, race, and the melting pot that actually we all are. Okay, so more of that later. The other thing that I just think is quite interesting with the dates now, looking at it, is that this is a big week coming up, guys. I mean, I haven't done my January normal Metatron message yet. I will do one next week, just because of all of the chaos and healing that's needed for Australia and is ongoing, needed to take precedence at the start of the year. So I hope you've watched that video and got something from it. Thank you very much for all your feedback on it. But yeah, this is a big week. And so the 8th of January was their birthday. Now we've also got a, just get my new calendar in place here. We've got a new moon, I believe, in Cancer on the 10th. A full moon in Cancer on the 10th, which also is a lunar eclipse. So that's going to be powerful. And we then have got this Saturn-Pluto conjunction on the 12th. And that's huge. So I'll talk about that a little bit more in my general video. But again, you see number 8, the day that Elvis and David were born, number 8 is linked into Saturn from a colour therapy perspective. And Saturn is the great teacher. So it's quite interesting that I've got two souls here with a strong Saturn energy, colour-wise, colour therapy-wise, and then we've got this big Saturn-Pluto thing coming in. And I'm just wondering who would be the other member of the Heart Squad that would feel as though they hold a very plutonic energy. And in terms of colours, you see, that would be number 11. And I'm just trying to remember which members of the Heart Squad had a number 11, or indeed if any of them have got a number 11 in their chart. Either they were born on the 11th, or their soul number adds up to 11. So any sleuths out there who can tell me that, you can write it in the comments below. I might have a little look myself. Maybe it's somebody that I haven't channeled yet. It could well be. I'm sort of feeling as though Prince had a very plutonic energy about him as well. I don't think he was necessarily born on the 11th, but I'm just feeling he's sort of, there's a bit of that with him as well. Anyway, number 8. That's why we're doing this video today. And it's going to be a big one, I think. So I'm going to light a candle before I get going. And then I'm going to tell you about some of the things that have already been happening here since deciding to do this. And the subject matters that is particularly David that's leading the show, I have to say. Although I have got Elvis here as well. But I think Elvis will be coming in more towards the end. And he's very much sort of wanting to just come in and be present with us, but it's as though David wants to do most of the talking for whatever reason. So I feel like I need to light a candle for both of them, actually. So let's put one there by David. Do you like my pictures? Aren't they amazing? I'm going to get them framed. I found them in Covent Garden. I went away just before Christmas, and there was this amazing guy selling them in the old market area of Covent Garden. He's not there every day. He's only got a stall on certain days. And he just happened to be there, of course, the day that I went. There's one for Elvis. And I looked through all of his photographs, and he had virtually all of the Heart Squad, including ones that I haven't quite yet done. I nearly bought, and I should have bought, Marilyn Monroe. And also he had an amazing one of Audrey Hepburn as well. And Amy Winehouse, who's a name that keeps coming through for Heart Squad. But anyway, I bought quite a few of them, but these are the two that we're going to be channeling today. So can you see their candles in the picture? That just feels important. I want you to see the light that's around them. Yes, I think so. Okay. Where's my Rainbow Bridge spray? I'm going to use that. Just get myself ready. Which I use just to help me connect, although as I say, they're very present here. I've got also the energy of Ashtar. I have to say, I'm not trying to sell sprays on this video at all, because to be honest, I don't have to. I'm very blessed that, thank you so much, that people buy them anyway. But because it is their birthdays next week, we are making 100 sprays, only 100 sprays, which will probably sell out within a couple of hours. But we're doing one for Bowie and we're doing one for Elvis. And I must just show you what they look like, because I'm going to use them in the video. Look at this. This is David Bowie's spray. And it's got as a base the crystal essence of Ashtar. Ashtar is a new spray that we are launching. Well, I need to speak to Tracy, but this January, okay? And I'm rather proud of that. I think it looks great. So it's a commemorative birthday spray, 8th of January. I've got my glasses on, whatever his birthday was, 1947, that's David's spray. But this Elvis one is great because look at that. Can you see the little logo? I love the way everything comes together, because this logo was designed by somebody, I hope he doesn't mind me saying, he's called Jim. And I found Jim and the company that he works for probably, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. And they make all of the labels that go on all of our sprays. And I don't know whether he's particularly into angels and ascended masters. You know, sometimes when you find a new supplier, you think, oh, you know, this does sound a bit odd. You know, I'm asking you to do whatever. Anyway, it just so happens, Tracy said to him, okay, we want a spray for Elvis. And he said, oh my God, I'm an Elvis Presley super fan. So he designed this for us. And I just love that. It just feels they are homemade. All of the sprays are homemade, but it just feels it feels like a family affair. It's a family affair. Who did that one? Can't remember. I'm feeling very buoyant today, and I think you can probably see that, because this is what the Heart Squad does. It helps to lift us up, particularly when times are quite tough. But anyway, the reason why I'm showing you the sprays is not just because I'm going to use them, it's because I put them down next to their pictures, okay, just to set the energy before I came on. And then I thought, oh, well, we're going to be talking galactics, so let's bring in the new Ashtar Spray, which looks like this. It's not on sale yet, okay, but it looks like this. And I put it down between Elvis and Bowie. And as soon as I did it, I had this message coming through from Ashtar, which is just, it was like pride. It was like a pride in what he called his two lieutenants. That's what he called them. He said it's like he was so happy to be there between his two lieutenants. And that's what they feel like. It feels like they were these galactic ambassadors, both of them, that came to Earth at slightly different times, although they overlapped a little bit as well. Who brought through an energy that was, I wanted to say, revolutionary in the way that it was presented, and were here to teach us that we can break out of the mold. That's what I'm wanting to say, that we can break out of the mold, and that we are so much more than we think we are. And both of them did that in different ways. So yeah, I just love that nod to Ashtar. I'm going to do my channel in one moment. I just got to tell you something else because it's just exciting and I'm excited. Look at this present I got for Christmas. This was from my friend Geraldine. Thank you, Geraldine. I haven't thanked you yet. It's a moleskin book, which I believe they're quite well known, these books. And it says, it's got obviously Bowie on it. It's a Bowie edition. It's just a notepad, but within it, there are all these stickers that you can add to it. Look at this. Isn't it great? Okay, then you can write your notes. This can be my little, this is going to be my journal where me and David talk to each other. But what I love is on the front it says, "Look up here, I'm in heaven." Isn't it gorgeous? So that's such a special gift, that. But the thing is, you know, he's saying, look up here, I'm in heaven, but really they're down here as well. They're still sort of here, or they certainly can be when we pull them in. So that's what we're going to do now. I want to just read out a comment that came in from one of you on my Facebook page when I said I was going to be bringing Elvis and Bowie back. And then I'll come back to some of the questions that came in. Although, to be honest, there's a lot that I need to say anyway, so we're going to see how the time goes. This came in from Lucy Rebecca, and it was lovely confirmation for me, because when I was thinking about bringing them both back together, I suddenly got this amazing sense of admiration that they both have for each other. And as you know, I'm not great on times. I get my dates wrong, including what year we're in. So I was like, well, did they overlap? You know, were they alive at the same time? I couldn't remember when, you know, Elvis died and when Bowie was particularly, you know, doing his thing. And I thought, no, they did. They really admired each other. Did they ever meet? There was this little conversation going on in my head. But all I was just getting was this amazing admiration that both have for each other. And so then this message comes in from Lucy yesterday, and she says, "Oh my goodness, Amanda, I am writing a special song for Elvis at the moment, and I'm a huge Bowie fan who wrote to you once about the Brooklyn Bridge, your earrings." I'm wearing them again, guys, my Brooklyn Bridge earrings. And David living on the other side of the Brooklyn Bridge to the place where you held your Mary Magdalene event. Anyway, I had been doing some research recently as I delivered a talk on David Bowie at the V&A exhibition, which is the Victoria and Albert exhibition in London, on him a few years ago, which he apparently visited one night after hours. Within the exhibition is a telegram written from Elvis to David that said, "From one king of rock and roll to another, good luck with the American tour." So moving. The idea of Elvis supporting David makes me very emotional, as they are true angels. And then she goes on to talk about the confirmation of they both have the same birthdays. So, yeah, there was this admiration that both had for each other. And it's rather special. Even though we're going to be talking about galactic DNA today, it was interesting because as I was looking out of the window, just thinking, okay, right, let's go and start doing this video, something caught my eye, just literally floating very, very slowly past the window. And I thought, what's that? And it was just a single white feather. And it was David saying, don't just box us into the fact that we have a galactic heritage. He was talking about himself. He was saying, I also have an angelic heritage. And it's a good point to make, because sometimes we put people, it's almost like just keep people in a particular lane, or souls in a particular lane. So when we talk galactic, the galactic and the angelic, often they're different, but they often are present in the same being. Okay, I'm just going to spray the rainbow bridge now, and let's just see what happens. I've got some notes, but let's just see what we get, what happens. So let's just pause for a moment. 11:15 in the morning. It's the 5th of January as I'm making this. So just welcoming in the energy of, firstly, David. And then secondly, Elvis. And I'm being shown the bench that I always get shown, that the souls come and sit on. And they're in very fixed positions on the bench, because David is sitting on the right-hand side, Elvis is sitting on the left-hand side, and it's like they've shuffled apart to make room for me to sit in the middle. But it's not just for me to sit in the middle, it's for you to sit in the middle as well. And it's quite interesting, because I'm sat in the middle and I'm now seeing a number of you that are, this bench is huge, by the way, guys. It's as though some of you are choosing to sit beside Elvis, and some of you are choosing to sit beside David. And then it's like musical chairs. I'm seeing this is like time is shifting, and I'm seeing through the running of this particular session and this particular video, it's like musical chairs. Some of the people that are sat beside Bowie to start with are now shifting to sit beside Elvis, and vice versa. And then towards the end of the video, and it is weird because I'm going right to the end of the video that I haven't even made yet, we're all sitting in we're in a circle basically, and the circle is huge. And the circle now is, we're not sitting, we're now standing, and I'm now being shown the wider universe, and the midnight sky, and the stars, and the galaxies, and the Milky Way. And it's as though we are taking the hand of David, and we're taking the hand of Elvis, and we are holding each other's hand as well, and they are taking us up actually into the night sky. So this is happening now, and it's happening in a different timeline, is what they're saying. So to not freak people out, it's happening in a different timeline, and it's a bit like the I think it was a film that was called Bedknobs and Broomsticks or something. I think that was the film, where they all sort of take each other's hands and they're sort of floating up in the sky, but they're holding each other's hands. It might be a bit of Peter Pan energy coming in as well. So we've got Michael Jackson as well here, who I have to say, Michael is very insistent that he's here as an energy in this video as well, although he's not going to say anything. His energy keeps wanting to be here with these two, and I think it's because they have an affiliation, these three, with each other, and it's to do with time travel. They were all time travelers. Okay, so what are we doing? We're just, David's saying, why do we have to be doing anything? He said, why do you have to be thinking about what are we doing as we're sort of floating in space, holding each other's hands in this circle? He said, just look down at the beauty. And he's then saying, and now look up at the beauty, and look to your left and look to your right, and what do you see? And he says, what you see is universes beyond your comprehension. It's like a string of universes is what I'm being shown. So what started out as stars and planets, some of the planets we know, some that we don't, some of the universes within universes is what he's saying basically. But we're all safe, we're all held, and we're all actually just having a great time up there. Okay, so He's now, David is the ringleader of this, okay, although Elvis is up there with us. Elvis is just laughing. And David's saying, okay, now we're going to go back. We're going to go back to Earth, all right? And he's saying you have to go back to Earth because that's where you belong and that's where you're meant to be at this particular time, and the Earth needs you. We just wanted to give you a snapshot of actually what really it's all about. And he's saying before you land back, just again breathe in the energy and the atmosphere that is up here. And experience what it feels to be weightless, okay? Experience what it feels to be weightless and without gravity pulling you down, okay? Feel what it is like when gravity is not pulling you down. And realize also that when gravity isn't pulling you down, you actually need to hang on to something or someone. So he says unity consciousness is actually quite is a lot easier when you are not on the earth plane, because there is this interconnectiveness that is needed, and it's as though the most natural thing in the world is to hold hands when you don't have when gravity is not there, because it's not clinging on in desperation. It's just a natural, it's almost like a magnetic pull to the next being next to you, and you only get attracted to the next being next to you in this, what I'm being shown, that is of love and of light, okay? He's also, before we land back, he's wanting us to just look down for a moment at planet Earth, and he's just wanting you to look at the state of the blue planet, okay? And this is almost like a serious moment, and it is on the back of the Australian firework energy that I did last week. And he's saying, can you see that you can see the smoke from space? Okay, so the damage being done can be seen from space. And so he's saying, do you really think that because what is happening on Earth can be seen from space, not just in terms of the fires, but also in terms of destruction of, interesting I said distraction, because it almost is like we're distracted from what is really happening. He's saying if you can see the destruction from a higher place, i.e. space, as you can, it's almost as though I'm being shown, he's showing me the seas and the waters of the world, and it's as though they've got sort of like a fog over them. That's the only way I can describe it. And I think the fog is linked into that they're not as clean as they should be. So it's as though you can, even though it's still beautiful from space, you can also see almost like the hot spots and the areas of damage. And so he's saying, do you really think that a loving God who sees that isn't going to send the help that is required? Okay. But he's saying that it's as though, and it's almost like he's giving I don't want to call it lecture, because he's not lecturing us, it's just a learning. He's giving us teaching from space as we are in space with him, holding his hand here and Elvis's hand. He's saying that the thing is that people expect the help that God sends to look a certain way, and they try and control it. Whereas actually what God has done is he has given you the help on Earth in the form of other human beings, but it's as though those other human beings need to awaken to realize that they are the answer. They are the answer to all of the Earth's problems, be they poverty, be they damage to the environment, be they war, be they violence. So he's saying it's as though we've been elevated to this position to realize the interconnectedness of everything, how vast the wider universe is, to feel the loving presence of this universe, because it's like what I'm being shown now is like, it's as though we're like a big chandelier is what I'm being shown. So we are like these little droplets on the chandelier. Each person is a droplet of crystal. And we're in a circle, and we're the droplets, the crystals on the chandelier, and we're holding Elvis's hand, we're holding David's hand, but then the thing that's holding up the chandelier is the Metatron energy, which links straight to source. So it's just like this beautiful, it's just wonderful what I can see in my mind's eye. So you are the answer, basically. You are the answer. We are the answer. So he's saying, with that knowledge, let us now just drop like the softest petals, the softest raindrops, the softest snow, just back to earth, and let us come back to where we were starting from. Okay? So I'm now seeing Elvis on the left-hand side of the bench, and I'm seeing David on the right-hand side of the bench. I think that was where they started from, but who knows? Okay. And I'm now seeing myself back in the middle of the bench, and I'm now also seeing those of you that were on the bench where it's like you're circling round the bench. Okay. And we're back on Earth. Okay. Well, that was wild. That was a wild ride. What do you expect with these two? Let me tell you a little bit about what's been going on the last 48 hours with particularly David. So the first sign that he gave me, or message that he gave me, was linked into a song. I'd love to be able to play the song, but I can't do that without my channel, without the video getting a strike in terms of copyright. So you can go and listen to the song yourself. And the song that David gave me was This Is Not America. Okay. It's a beautiful song. You might want to pause the video and go and listen to it and then come back. Do come back though, because that's the problem is when you go off and listen to the greats, it's like, oh, I've just spent half a day listening to David Bowie. Oh, hold on a minute, I was listening to Amanda. So come back, please, but listen to the song in all seriousness. This Is Not America. I thought it was quite interesting that he gave me that song, which was more or less the day of the takeout of the Iranian general by American orders. And I thought, I think David's trying to say something here. I think he's trying to say there's a political message coming through here with regard to that song. Now I'm going to get the lyrics up, which I should have done earlier. But I did already Google a little bit about the song and why he wrote it. And I will put hold on a minute. I will put the link to that so you can read it for yourself. Because I think he wrote it in the Reagan era. And it was a piece of work which was saying something politically about the way the US was conducting itself. You see, at this point, there's so many Heart Squad that are wanting to flood in, because I've also got George Michael's not going to come and say anything today because his sister sadly died Christmas Day. And he is when I say he's busy with her, it's more that he's just helping her to acclimatise. So I don't want to take up any of his energy and time. But it's almost like he can't resist just coming in because George Michael wrote, I can't remember what the song was now, but it was a very political song linked into USA policies. I think it might have even been banned. It didn't get very widely played, but I can't remember what the song was called now, but yeah, George is here as well. But This Is Not America. Now, I'm just a couple of the pieces of the lyrics. This is not America. A little piece of you, a little piece in me will die. Now it's interesting. A little piece in me will die. He's written it peace as in peace, world peace, not in a piece of cake. It's really interesting. A little piece in me will die. This is not a miracle, for this is not America. Blossom fails to bloom this season. Promise not to stare too long. A storm that blew so pure. For this could be the biggest sky, and I could have the faintest idea, for this is not America. So there's something there about he's not happy, basically, is what I'm wanting to say about what's going on. I just need to tell you what this George Michael song is. Hold on, George Michael, it's like an anti-war song. Shoot the Dog. Shoot the Dog is George Michael's song. It's a protest song referring to and critical of Prime Minister Tony Blair and American President George W. Bush. Okay, so we've got two of them. And they're allowed to have their opinion. You know, they're souls that have an opinion, and they expressed it when they were alive, and they are re-expressing it now. It's almost as though those songs are very relevant to what's going on now in terms of the desire for war. So that's that. Let me just have some water. Hold on. You see my mug? And then this morning when I was getting ready, I thought I'm going to listen back to the song, This Is Not America. So I listened to it. It's great. You can listen to it yourself. And then, YouTube just gives you the next song. Well, the next song that came on, which I hadn't asked for, was Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. Yes, another 1980s band, because that's my era. If you're triggered by that, sorry, it's who I am. But yeah, so This Is Not America, followed by Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Again, the lyrics are quite prophetic in that. And then David comes back on as the third one that I haven't asked for, and it's Ashes to Ashes. You know, just put the pieces together. It's as my old boss used to say, it's not rocket science what they're trying to say to us. So there is a disapproval and disapproval's the wrong word he's saying. It's just like a sadness. He's saying, I'm just sad, Amanda. He's saying it's just like, we're sad. Because like Elvis says, we're sad that this is still going on. That we can't bring in the era of peace, that humanity can't bring in this era of peace, or it hasn't fully arrived yet. And so many people have been striving for it. Now I've got John Lennon coming in, you see. I can see John just there in the corner, you know, the great ambassador of peace. When's it going to happen? It's going to happen when people realise that they hold the energy of either war or peace within themselves. That's why the lyrics to that song is so interesting. A little piece of me. It's as though every act that we do, whether we're the prime minister of a country, a president or whatever, or whether we're just Joe Bloggs on the street that hurls a load of hate or aggression at somebody, we are hurling that at them, but a little piece inside me dies when I do that. You know, if we hurt somebody else, we hurt ourselves because we are all interconnected. I've written down one of the questions that keeps coming in is, ask David, is this the year of disclosure? And okay, I know what he's going to say about this, but because I've written it down, but I just want to let me have his words. So, is this going to be the year of disclosure, David? So he's laughing. Okay. By the way, he's always appears to me like the Thin White Duke. That's the era that he shows himself to me as. So you Bowie aficionados, Bowie, I don't know. It doesn't matter. He doesn't care how I say his name, by the way, before everyone says I'm saying it wrong. He's just laughing. That's how he shows himself, the Thin White Duke. And he's throwing his head back and he's laughing because he's saying, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. And what he means by that is it's like we keep waiting to be told about disclosure, that they've arrived. Here they are. He's saying, we are already here. He's saying, you're one of them. He's saying, look in the mirror and see your galactic DNA, see your galactic heritage. He's saying there are particular, there's a particular look, there's a particular, oh, that's interesting. It's almost like a body language thing. It's like there's a stance that are like giveaway clues a lot of the time, that you hold this galactic heritage. He's saying, although you all do, it's just some have remembered it more than others. He's talking to me about people that are very able to look you in the eye, okay? People that have got quite a penetrating gaze have it, okay? I'm being shown, what's that guy called? Is it Elon Musk? Elon Musk? I can't remember what his name is. I'm being shown him without getting into the rights and wrongs of is he a good guy, is he not a good guy? It doesn't matter. I'm just being shown that he has a galactic energy to him. So too, and again, this is a guy that's very, very contentious, and David's not saying whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, but Mark Zuckerberg, I'm being shown him, Greta Thunberg, you know, people who who've got a gaze which is like, there's just something about their eyes. It's like you can't take your eyes away from their eyes. It's like there is there's codes that are coming through. He's saying there are both good and bad galactic ambassadors, as there are both good and bad ambassador of anything else. Okay, and that's not saying that any of the people I've just mentioned are bad or good. By the way, he's being completely and utterly neutral. He's saying, oh, we've opened up a hornet's nest there, haven't we? He's saying how quick people are to judge, how quick people are to judge, how quick people are to try and discriminate, how quick people are to try and say this person's good, this person's bad, without actually really knowing anybody's soul. He said the only person that really knows somebody's soul is actually God, because most of the time people don't even know their own soul very well when they are alive, incarnate on earth. He's saying you can get glimpses of your soul light, but most of the time, 90% of it is actually clouded from you. He's saying there's a lot that I didn't know about my own soul when I was alive. He said, he's now laughing, he's saying, but I knew more than most. Not in a boastful way, but it's just the truth. Okay, I knew more than most. I remembered more than most. And he's saying that's our job also. As lieutenants that come, he's saying, putting in Ashtar's very grand language, which he's laughing at. He's just saying that's our job, to make people remember. And that's why I'm telling you to look in the mirror, okay? Look into your own eyes, look into the light that comes through it, okay? Look at your stance, look at your posture. He's wanting to, so it's this thing about, he's saying human beings have this desire to be told something. It's like when I'm told that they have arrived, you know, the Galactics, then suddenly it's like, oh, it's okay, you know, I can believe in it now. He's saying, whereas really, why do you need to be told what you already know? Okay? Because you already know, don't you? You already know that you are galactic. You already know that you have origins in space, don't you? This is quite interesting. He's saying to me that the point with disclosure, though, in terms of the big spaceship being seen in the sky, is he's saying that at the moment you still have a mixture of people upon your world that are embodying many different vibrations, 3D, 5D and above. And he's saying those that are very stuck in 3D, it would be too overwhelming for them to see that, to feel that, to hear that. And he's saying this is why there has been a drip, drip, drip effect over many thousands of years, I'm hearing. He's saying this goes back thousands of years. This isn't just phenomena that is in the skies over the last 18 months or so. He's saying this goes back thousands of years, and he's actually showing me, you know, this is going back to the times of Christ as well, the lights in the sky. He's saying, what do you think the star in the sky was that guided the three wise men and the shepherds to Christ? Okay, he's saying, yes, of course it was a star, but he's saying, who do you think lit up that star quite so brightly on that particular night? It was your galactic brothers and sisters. He's saying, we are all one. So he's saying, come away, please, from this desire to be told. He said it's almost like when we do that, it's like we're taking ourselves back to being in the classroom and waiting for teacher to say and give us the tick that yes, this is the way the world is. He's saying the new world and the new earth energy is very much about people having to discover it from themselves, which is why I'm asking you to look in the mirror and to see both your galactic and your angelic frequencies. He's saying more and more people are going to be able to start seeing auras, and to be able to see those people who have a switched on light body as opposed to people who are still sleeping. He's saying there are lots of sleeping cells, i.e. beings in this world, who have not yet woken up. Will they wake up, David? When the time is right, he says yes. But when the time is right for their soul, not when the time is right for you wanting them to wake up. Fair enough. What he wants to convey, and I'm trying to put it in the right language and the right words, is as a species on Earth, one of the reasons we haven't been able to ascend faster and evolve faster as a species is colour of skin and race and nationality are huge barriers. I've talked about this before in other videos, not just with David, but he's wanting me to talk a bit more about this now. The need for unity consciousness to come in the way that you felt it when you were floating around earlier in space. For that unity consciousness to come in, you have to see it's not about letting go of what you look like in a particular lifetime. And that, for example, at the moment, I'm white, I'm British, I'm female. But he's saying it's starting to realise that, well, you may be that in this lifetime, but you've been virtually everything else in another lifetime. Or if you haven't been, you're going to be in the future. So there's something about starting to understand that we have been everything. We've been every colour, we've been both sexes, we have had many different nationalities. I've certainly seen myself in a past life as an African man. I think I've mentioned that earlier in other videos, you know, a tribal African elder. I'm not sure what era it was, but I saw it very, very clearly. And even though I don't look like that now, that is within me. I hold that energy of that lifetime within me, and of being that colour, and of being that sex, and of living in that particular land. Even though right now I look in the mirror and I can't necessarily see it, but he's saying if you actually look in the mirror, you will be able to see it if you want to see it. Okay, it's within you. It's quite interesting how messages that I bring through build up over a period of weeks, because I'm remembering now a conversation I had with my hairdresser of all people. I took my daughters in to have their hair cut before Christmas. One of them's like me, who's got dark hair. The other one is very, very blonde, very pale, blue eyes, and to be honest, looks very Germanic. And I've said before, you know, I've got German blood on my mother's side, going back a few generations. But it's quite interesting when you're in a hairdresser's, because the hairdresser that was cutting my blonde daughter's hair, you know, they were saying, oh, it's beautiful hair. Well, you know, where'd she get her hair from? And I heard myself say, it's quite funny, I heard myself say, I don't know, neither my husband or me have her colouring. And then it was funny because I almost had to justify. I said, oh, but you know, her father is her father, because it's like she doesn't look really like either of us. And I said, oh, but it's because, you know, we've got this German blood, so there's like a throwback to quite a few different generations back. And then this hairdresser said to me, who again looks very, I don't know, I suppose English, you know, putting it into a box, which we like to do. She looks very English. No, in fact, that's offensive. I didn't mean it in the way it's coming across. I'm going to scrub that, because English, you can be any colour. Okay, the last thing I want to come across as is at all racist in any way. So I'm going to scrub that. That's learning for me, because I'm a multicultural soul. I've lived in multicultural places. What I mean by the fact that she looked English, yeah, you see, I'm going to put this out, and I'll probably get criticism for what I've just said, but I hope the people that view this can see that my heart is pure and that my intentions are right here. Because what I meant was this basically the hairdresser said, I'm Iranian, you know. She said, I'm Iranian. She said, but I don't look Iranian, do I? And no, she doesn't look particularly Iranian. What does Iranian even look like? And how interesting, I'm talking about an Iranian person, you know, a few days after the Americans have taken out this Iranian general. And she said people always get confused, because she said all of my family look Iranian, okay? All of my family look Iranian. but yet I look English, British, you know, Celtic is what I'm trying to say. Very Celtic skin, very pale. And I thought, yeah, you see, you just can't see. You can't see where a person's race necessarily by their colour of their skin. That's what I'm trying to say. I also remember watching a video a few months ago, and it was on one of these people where, you know, you can send off the DNA test that tells you I'm, you know, a third whatever, and I've got a quarter this and, you know, a quarter that, and it just shows you what your DNA makeup is based on many different cultures and countries usually. But I actually watched this video, and it was a black girl who was opening up her DNA, and she was so disappointed because she was sort of like, I don't know, a quarter European or something, or a third European. And on the video, she got visibly very upset that she had in her what she would call sort of like European blood in her. She wanted to be, I don't know, 100% African or whatever country she was coming from. And I looked at it and I thought, whoa, you know, you're so upset that you've got some white blood in you maybe, or European blood in you. But you see, it works both ways. It works both ways. I also, yesterday, again, I'm sure it was Spirit that just brought it to my attention. I mean, you know, I like Michael Jackson, you know, I do work with Michael Jackson, but a video came up about Michael Jackson's children, and somebody's done some work where they've basically they've looked at the facial profiles of his kids compared to Michael. Now, of course, with the exception of BG, who has got a darker skin, and people sort of can accept that, oh yeah, he's probably got Michael's blood in him. The other two have obviously got much paler skin, but it was quite interesting on the video because they were putting, for example, Paris's profile next to Michael's profile, and looking at things like her smile. She even had a tooth, a tooth that was a shorter tooth here. I think she said it taken out or cosmetic surgery or something. But Michael had that tooth as well when he was little. It was saying that, what's the other boy called? Prince. Prince suffers from vertigo like Michael did. So it was very interesting. It was really just saying, you know, look again at these kids, because everyone just looks at them and says, well, they can't be Michael's because they're not black, you know, they're white. But I think this is what David's trying to say. He's saying it's like, look beyond the colour. It isn't the fact that we're white, that we're black, that we're any colour under the sun. It's the fact that we are souls. And actually souls, what I'm hearing is quite interesting. He's saying souls are colourless. Souls are colourless. Okay? So it's this thing where when we're on earth, we get so fixated with, you know, being English or being American or being Chinese, and we identify with that. And there's this thing about just stay in your lane. And we've got to get out of that mentality. And one of the ways that we can be helped with that is through looking beyond colour to the galactic energy and the angelic energy that we also hold within ourselves. And that, believe you me, does not have a colour to it, okay? I mean, it has many colours, but it's not defined by one particular colour. We've got to stop being defined by one particular colour. Starseeds, which effectively is what we all are. Starseed is somebody who holds the universe within their soul, basically, is what he's saying. The starseed cannot be identified by just one colour of skin, one particular nationality, one particular incarnation. They are so much more than that. They are the sum of the universe within them. We need to somehow get to that place. I told you this was going to be deep. You are deep, David. You see, he had different coloured eyes, didn't he? He had different coloured eyes. Now, I know the reason why he had different coloured eyes. This is black and white. Isn't this interesting? I'm talking about his different coloured eyes, and I'm showing you a black and white photograph. It's almost illustrating what I'm trying to say, which is colour has no relevance at all. But he had different coloured eyes, and I think it was the result of some accident, or, you know, somebody biffed him, boffed him, whatever. But in a way, there's no such thing as an accident in life, because again, his eyes were very unique and very. It's like, don't try and define me. You can't say that David Bowie had blue eyes or brown eyes, or he had unique eyes. Okay. Oh dear. Right, let's pause for a moment. Let's bring Elvis in. Okay. Before I do that, I'm going to pull a card for David, or David's going to give you a card from the Starman Tarot. The Starman Tarot is very associated with David Bowie. It was inspired by David Bowie. By David De Angelis created this deck. It's not one that I use that often. I like it. I haven't used it for a while. I don't really know why. Somebody said on my page that they found it a little bit difficult to read. And I would probably agree with that. But I think sometimes that's a good thing, actually, because the cards are very multi-layered. They've got images over images over images. And, sorry, they're flying all over the place. That's a bit like what David's saying here. We've all got so many different layers that we can't see, yet we are just identifying with one particular layer, you know? We've got to start seeing ourselves as multi-layered, multi-dimensional souls that we actually are. I just want one card. Let me just do this on camera. Flying all over the place. Right, David Bowie. David Bowie. Can you give us one message, David, please? Just one card, if possible, for the people watching. David Bowie. One message for the people watching. The Five of Swords. Can you see that? The Five of Swords. What's on the bottom of the pack? The Ten of Pentacles. The Five of Swords. I just want to get the traditional card up for that. Because I think the Five of Swords, yeah, is the one which is about winning a battle, but at what cost? Okay, at what cost? So let's just have a look at this card, the Five of Swords. This feels like a message for mankind, that mankind will defend, I'm hearing its patch, the way that things have always been, its patches of land as well, its nations, but at what cost? Oh, my nose is itching, like how, which always happens when I'm saying something that's particularly relevant, sorry. Skeletons and skulls on the Earth's floor. The cost of defending to the nth degree the old paradigm, the way that it's always been, that this is who I am. Look at him. This is who I am in this lifetime. Okay, this is who I am and you are that. Okay, separation energy. I am this and you are that. You know, I live here and you live there. There's also an energy coming through of sort of the haves and the have-nots. You know, I'm here in the West and I'm okay, Jack, and you're there and you stay in your place. I'm not talking about you here. I'm talking about this is the energy in the collective, the old 3D energy. Okay, at what cost will we defend this? Because the Ten of Pentacles is really the card which is trying, I think, here to say there is enough for all. There is enough for all. They just feel like two completely and utterly contradictory energies here. You know, I'm pulled towards this, which is the new earth energy, the Ten of Pentacles, abundance, enough for all, but it's also about working together to achieve that, teamwork, unity, consciousness. as opposed to this energy, which is just like, no, I'm in battle and I will stay on the top. You know, that second song that came on, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, to me, that was very much about, again, it's fighting in terms of who's top dog. You know, who's top dog in this world? And we're going to fight to the end of the days to keep ourselves at that position of power and dominance over you, over there. Okay? Well, at what cost does that come? It comes at huge cost, which is why we've got all the skeletons here. And that message from David in that song, a little piece of me dies every time that we try to maintain the old world, which is the opposite of the new world that wants to come in, which is unity consciousness. Okay, right. Thank you, David. He's got a very wry sense of humour, because he's saying, I wanted to do this. He's saying, yeah, I know it's unpalatable to some people to hear that. He's saying, well done for delivering the message. He said it's not easy to deliver messages like that when people want to stay with the status quo, and they want to stay in their comfort zone, and they want to be in denial, and they want to be distracted from these bigger messages. But he's saying these bigger messages will find the right people to seed them. Okay. Just going to spray the David Bowie spray now. See if there's anything else, and then I'm going to bring in Elvis. So David. Let's just feel David's energy, guys. He's wanting to say we were, and he's talking about Elvis and him. He's saying, you know, we were ambassadors for peace, but in a different way. We dressed up in costumes and did our thing. But essentially underneath it all, it was about this much deeper message of trying to get people to think deeper, to think wider, to think outside the box, and to understand the wider context of life. Okay. Elvis Presley. Let's just have Elvis. I felt that Elvis was going to sit on the sidelines a little bit in this, and he has done, but I love the energy of Elvis Presley. So I'm just going to bring him in for a little bit towards the end of this video. So, I wonder who Mike Edwards was. It's interesting. Was Mike Edwards the guy that... Maybe Mike Edwards is the man that did the photograph. I don't think so. No, he's got Mike Edwards on his jacket. What's that all about? Maybe it was a brand, I don't know. How beautiful was he? Hey, look at that. How beautiful was Elvis? He wanted me to say earlier that he's still a little bit... He did talk about this in one of his channeling videos, about that he didn't appreciate what the body could become. You know, towards obviously the end of his life, he had become quite bloated and overweight and, you know, addicted and all the rest of it. But in his prime, he was just so stunningly beautiful. And of course, he still had beauty in his soul towards the end of his days. But there was, he wanted me to know that, he wanted me just to show you what he looks like now, okay? And he's looking very trim, basically. He's looking trim. He's still dressed in his, when I say his white suit, it's not the rhinestones that, you know, we might remember him wearing when he was alive. It's a much more casual, looser fitting suit, but it's very well tailored. And one thing Elvis did say in the last channeling I did with him was he was talking about the in all seriousness, the suit that he used to wear. He said it was almost like mimicking a spacesuit. You know, it was like a spacesuit, like an astronaut's outfit. It made him feel safe, actually. It made him feel safe, and it gave him a lot of security. So he's saying that what you wear can do that. It can give you confidence. It can make you feel either empowered and stronger, and more comfortable in your own skin, or it can make you feel the opposite. So the importance of clothes, and maybe that's why I was drawn to this jacket. It's just he looks very beautiful in this outfit. So let's see what Elvis might want to bring through for us. Let's just use the spray. Oh, I will just say one thing I've written down here on my piece of paper with regard to Elvis is, this is on the back of what David's just been talking about. He's saying, I was never just the all-American boy, okay? I was never just the all-American boy. And by that, what he's wanting people to, not even to look back at his roots, but he's acknowledging his roots, and that where he came from and what he grew up around was very multicultural. So, again, this is not America. What do you think? I know that's Bowie's song, but what do you think America is? What does America look like? America actually always will be a melting pot of cultures, of different races, of different colours, and that's the way. That's just the way it is. So he was very much nodding his head in agreement when David was bringing that song through to me earlier in the week, which is also something along the lines of that America needs to be the best that it can be, and to not become too marginalised in trying to present itself as a certain way and look a certain way, that it is just this amazing melting pot of cultures. So he doesn't, neither of them want to be boxed in. I keep writing down this thing about it's the opposite of stay in your lane, Let's break out of the box and thinking, which is that, what is an American? What is a Russian? What is a Chinese person? What is a Brit? What does that mean? It's like we've all done this dance all around the globe. You've been American, you've been Chinese, you've been Russian. You will have been probably the person or the nationality or the culture or the religion that you most are triggered by, maybe in this lifetime, or if you haven't been, you might be in the next one. Okay, and that's not a penalty. It's about learning that we are all one. How can you learn that we're all one unless you put on all of the different hats? Okay. Anyway, back to Elvis. Happy birthday, I want to say to you, Elvis, 8th of January, and to David, of course. Are you going to be doing anything up there? Yeah, it's like the two of them are just like, they're very buddy-buddy, very buddy-buddy. I hadn't picked up on it before now, but they really are. They definitely hang out together. And he's saying, of course, there'll be 3 of us on the 8th. And what he means by that is Elvis had a twin. Elvis had a twin. Elvis had a twin who died, I believe, at birth. So it's like the 3 of them will be celebrating on the 8th. Elvis and his twin and David, the 3 of them. It doesn't mean other people aren't included as well, but it's very much, there's a very tight unit, these two. He's very quiet. He's very quiet. Do you want to say anything, Elvis? Oh, bless you. It's like he feels as though it's like it's an energy of like, how do I follow that in terms of what David's just said? I'm feeling quite emotional for him. It's like, oh, bless him. He says, I spent my whole life when I was on Earth being told what to do and being micromanaged and overmanaged and being told what was acceptable to say and what wasn't acceptable to say. He's saying it's like he's in awe of David being able just to come out and say it. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. You don't have to like it. But David, that's what David was all about. It was just like he will say what he wants to say. He will be what he wants to be. He will dress how he wants to be. He will bring in different aspects. It's just like, it's who he is. He's very strong in that. But like with Elvis, it was like, I never got the opportunity to do that when I was alive. I was always told what to do. I was told where to stand. I was told where to be. And so for me to find my voice it's not difficult, but it's something that I haven't been given the opportunity to do very much. He said people never wanted to hear what I had to say about deeper things when I was alive. They just wanted to know about Elvis. And what he means by that is, I mean, he was Elvis, but he's showing me who he really is, as opposed to the stage name, okay? The man behind what you saw on the stage. And it's as though there is this, it's like, I don't know where to start, Amanda. I don't know how to express this, because I've never been given the opportunity to before. Well, we're giving you the opportunity, Elvis, and we're very happy to hear anything you have to say at any time that you want to say it. And it doesn't have to even be today. It can be in a year's time. It can be next week. He says, I won't leave it a year. But there is definitely this. It's really interesting to me, and I keep seeing this with Spirit. There is this such a misguided thing, which is just like when we say rest in peace, it's just like the soul dies and it's like they just lie there, motionless for eternity, like when you go into the abbeys and they have these sort of crypts, and you have there's a picture, isn't there, in the tarot card? This is what I'm seeing. Where is it? Is it the Four of Swords? I'm seeing the Four of Swords. Hold on, it's important I show this image. This is what we think. Rest in peace. They just lie there motionless, doing nothing. The reality is, after you die, your soul is still always learning. Your soul can't not learn, because it's a part of God, and God is part of creation. And so I'm being shown that Elvis is still working on that aspect. And it's really interesting, because it only feels as though when he comes back close to Earth frequency, that it's like he gets blocked a little bit from what he wants to say. Because I'm seeing him now, Metatron's actually showing me this. Metatron's showing me the energy, the soul, the oversoul of Elvis Presley is just like huge. It's really huge in terms of the universe. And he is a king, he's a real king. But there seems to be something when he comes back to the Earth's frequency, that there's still something that's unhealed there. And there's this thing about having been gagged in terms of what he can say and what he couldn't say. And it's like he needs to get used to this new frequency, that it is okay just to open your mouth and say what you truly want to say. Okay, maybe shall I pull a card for him? Maybe that's a good way to start with it. Let's do that. Which deck shall I use? I'm going to use a deck. He told me earlier this, which is called the Syrian Starseed Tarot. This is the one that Elvis wanted. And of course, Sirius is linked to his energy. I think I said that in another one. So this is the Syrian Starseed Tarot. And I'm going to pull a card from Elvis. Patricia Corrie, I think. Huge cards for the king. My battery might be about to die, so if it does, I will just pause the camera, but let's just go for as long as I can. Elvis Presley. So gentle. He's so humble. He's so polite. The Nine of Crystals. Yeah. You see, look at that. There's this image of this person here, and it's like they're looking at the crystals, but can you see the energy of this person? It's like they're looking, but it's like, I'm not sure whether I can take them out of the box. Are they for me? There's a hesitation energy here with this. What's on the bottom of the pack? Oh, the Nine of Chalices. We've got two nines. 9 and 9 coming through, the Elvis energy. 9 and 9. And, okay, he was born on the 8th and he died When did he die? No, he died on the 16th. Okay. It was Bowie that died, was born on the 8th of January and died on the 2 9s. Now, his soul number, Elvis Presley's soul number, was 9. I remember that. I remember talking about this. So we've got 2 9s. 9 relates to Mars. He talked about Mars last time. Is the life on Mars? I know that's not his song, but there's a Martian energy here. The masculine. Oh, okay. He seems to be representing today the energy of a male energy that is struggling to come to terms with the new energy flowing into the planet. So I'm not saying that Elvis held terribly patriarchal energy, but he certainly lived in a very patriarchal time, more so than Bowie even, okay? And he was very much told what to do by this patriarchal energy as well. And he's showing me himself very much almost like a boy. It's like a boy who sort of stumbled into the industry, stumbled into his fame. He obviously had amazing talent, which he was always going to be discovered, but for him it was quite a surprise. And it's as though he felt a bit like the boy all the way through it, that was being told what to do by an industry and by a manager that was very dictatorial in some way. And he also is saying he grew up in a time when the roles of men and women were much more entrenched, and some would say dated these days, old-fashioned. And so even though he's very liberated in terms of his, when he's sort of shooting around the universe, doing whatever he does, and he's very comfortable on the Mars planet in particular, which feels like his home, and I said that last time, it's like when he comes to Earth, it's just like the remembrance of all this old patriarchal stuff. It's like, ooh, and I don't know how, and then he's seeing how much it's shifted, and it's like he hasn't quite yet found his footing in this new Earth. That's what I want to say. So there is an insecurity. That's really what I'm trying to say. There is this insecurity. There's an energy of insecurity that's coming through for him today. And it's almost as though, having put him with David, I don't know, he feels overshadowed somehow, which is not what David intended and is not the truth. And David's like going, come on, it's like it's like a playful sort of shove. Come on, it's like they're like jostling. I can't even say the word jostling with each other. David's saying, come on, you can do this. But David's so sensitive that he's very he's not belittling how Elvis is feeling in this particular moment either. He's saying it's okay to show your softer, more vulnerable side. He's saying if more men showed that, the world would be a better place and healing would be taking place much quicker. So it feels as though Elvis is wanting to help men in particular, actually, to come to terms with this new landscape that we've got here. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. He says that's sort of how it feels still for a lot of men. They don't know how to operate in this new world. He's saying, I don't really feel as though I know how to operate in this new world. I come back and it's 2020 and everything's changed, and it's like it's not what it was like when I was around. And he's saying that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that I'm struggling to catch up with it all. He's saying, but I'm realizing now that I'm back and being with you that there's a lot of men that are feeling like this. And so he's saying, well, should we just join hands together and sort of and let's try and learn and go for it. There's this thing about male company and trying to lead men to understand this new paradigm, this divine feminine energy that's now coming in more and more. And he's saying some men are feeling very alienated, and that they don't know their place in this new world anymore. They aren't being given the tools to be able to try and adjust and change. They're just being condemned and sneered at and looked down on, whereas actually what's really going on is within them is confusion and defensiveness, because they don't understand the new steps that are being put in front of them. So they need help. They need help. And he's sort of taking me back to dance, you know, which is to do with movement and fluidity and flow. They need to learn how to flow. There's a thing about the hips, actually, in all seriousness, which is the hips, when they are very stuck or very stiff, seem to symbolise this lack of being able to move. So there's something about literally moving the hips in that way. And he's saying if you look at Hawaiian, because he's got the thing about Hawaii, I'm being shown Hawaiian, they're almost like, they look like goddess type energies, but you know, it's like belly dance type energy. And it's like they know how to move. It's like men have got to get a bit more fluid to catch up. That card, the Nine of Chalices, is a man standing there. Can you see a man standing there, and he's in front of all of those cups? Well, cups symbolise emotion and, you know, dealing with emotions. And it's like he hasn't actually lifted any of those cups up, but yet all that white light, and Elvis is very associated with the white light, all of that white light is just coming down onto the man. And it's as though God, Source, is trying to help the old vision of man, patriarchal man, to be able to illuminate him, to shift, to upgrade, so he's actually able to experience the whole range of emotions that is in front of him. But it's almost as though both male and female are sort of not understanding each other at the moment. Okay, is what Elvis is saying, because here we've also got this woman, and again she's hesitant to pick up the cups as well. Or the crystals, you know, hesitation on both parts. It's like, how do men and women operate now in 2020 and beyond? What are the rules? He's saying, what are the rules? He's saying, I don't know what the rules are anymore. He's saying, you know, if I were to come back, he said, I'd probably make a right mess of it. He's being very, it's like a self-criticalness, but it's said with a bit of humour as well. He's got a dry sense of humour as well. So there's just this, he's sort of warming up a bit now, but there was this energy with him, which is like, I don't want to put my foot in it and say the wrong thing, because it's almost like I'm from a different time, and some of what was normal or just went on then isn't now. And it's like he's very aware he doesn't want to cause offence. And there is this thing with both Elvis and David in terms of deep appreciation for women. Very strong female archetypes that they both had in their life. And with David, obviously Iman, but I'm also with Elvis. I mean, Priscilla we talked about in the last video, but I'm also being shown Elvis's mother as well. Very strong feminine archetype. So there's almost this... And again, with Elvis particularly, there's this almost like an awe of like the divine feminine energy. There's definitely something coming through with Elvis, which is like he seems to be wanting to try and help men who are stuck in, remove and let go of old patriarchal energy. You might be aware that you still have that within you, because if you're a man, at some level you will have it within you, because you carry the collective male energy as well as your own. So to help let go of that. But there is just like this learning going on with him as well. It's almost like he represents a shift. He represents the shift. And he was the one, I'm sure I was right in saying this, that he was very reluctant to come back, Elvis, last time I asked him. And I think this is what it's all about. It's like, whoa, you know, it was a weird enough ride last time, you know. This time it's like, you know, would it be even harder? But, you know, it's like, go into your soul, Elvis, because you can more than do this. If you wanted to, you don't have to. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up because it's getting towards lunchtime here and the video is getting quite long. I will just say one thing. I think this might be David's influence, but I'm just looking up here. Somebody sent me this for Christmas. Thank you. It's 2 of you that send me a Christmas card every year. I haven't got your card in front of me, but thank you for the key ring. I love it. And it says, "Stay Wild, Moonchild." And it's tied in with last night. I was sitting down watching some videos, and for some reason, Iggy Pop popped into my mind, as you do. And it was Wild Child by Iggy Pop. And I blasted it out. Fantastic song. I liked it at the time, but I really enjoyed it. And it was like, Iggy Pop, where's that come from? Well, Iggy Pop is still alive. I think David Bowie had a thing with... Did he have a thing with Iggy Pop? Did he like Iggy Pop? There's something about Iggy Pop. But anyway, it's also about this thing about stay wild. You know, it's like... And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is both of them, in their different ways, Elvis Presley and David Bowie, were about breaking down conventions and barriers of the day. And they did that very successfully. So they're coming back in different ways to try and help us. David just seems to be this illuminated teacher who comes in with some very deep subjects. And, you know, whether we're ready to hear them or not, I don't know. I hope we are. Because they're subjects that can easily be misconstrued and people can get the wrong end of the stick and think you said this when actually you were implying that and all the rest of it. But ultimately, he's coming in with messages linked into unity consciousness, linked into peace, linked into letting go of colour and race and culture, not to make the whole world, you know, homogenous and sort of just bland, but in terms of making you realise that you are everything. The universe is within you. What the hell does that mean? It means you've been every colour, every culture, every age, both sexes. You come from many different planets. You have both angelic DNA, you have galactic DNA, you have human DNA. You know, start to remember what they did at the start. They took us right up above the stars so we could look down upon ourselves. And when you're up there, you see it all, you get it. When you land back on Earth, it suddenly you become entrenched again in old patterns and old stereotypes, and you just stay in your lane, you know. And then there was also this message in terms of anti-war, anti-aggression. And Elvis is just bringing through something that's very interesting, I think, which is this whole thing. I mean, yeah, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Of course, that's why he's bringing it up. You know, it's an old-fashioned book in a lot of ways now. It was around years ago, decades ago. But, you know, Elvis has got this thing about Mars. He's definitely got, his home is on Mars, basically. It's one of the planets that he particularly resides on. And he still feels as though it's like he's just not quite getting it in terms of the male-female and how the whole dynamic is changing. But the thing is, he's saying to me, but I want to learn. I want to learn. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm witnessing what's happening now. And he's saying, I want to help other men to realise they need to learn this. They need to catch up. They need to appreciate the changes that are coming in, which are going to bring good into the planet. You know, in many ways, both of them are trying to, again, do what they did in life, which is break down old barriers. Fascinating. Okay, guys, I think that's it. Let's end with a bit of earth energy. Archangel Sandalphon, just to make sure we're fully grounded. So putting your own feet down onto Mother Earth and seeing that bench now that we're either sitting on or sitting around. And because they're such galactic time travelers, it's like it's like beam me up, Scotty. You know, that's what I'm seeing. It's like they just went off in like a vortex. The first one to go off was Elvis. It's like a vortex of energy. He's one minute he's sitting on the bench and there's like this vortex of energy and you're like, woof, he's off there. And he's off to the left. And Bowie just went whoop, like that. He was more direct. He was, for some reason, God knows why, he was just going more vertical. Whereas Elvis was like off to the left. Of course Elvis is off to the left. The left is the feminine energy. So he's off to explore more about the new divine feminine energy. Because he's he's wanting to learn. He's still learning. Bowie's sort of like feels as though he's integrated more of the male and female into his soul light, so he doesn't have to do that. So he's just going more straight back up to source energy. Perfect. But they're going to be definitely meeting on the 8th. I'll tell you what, I haven't got an Elvis mug, but I've got a David mug, and I'm going to be raising a glass to David and to Elvis on the 8th. Much love, everybody. It's Sunday here. It's now 5 to 12, so I'm going to go off and spend a bit of time with my family. But really, you're all family. We're all soul family. That's the whole point. Much love. Take care of yourselves.